Good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you.
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
In my professional opinion, when somebody says what you just said there,
Good.
yes, twice,
Yeah.
it's a sign of untruthfulness.
You think so?
No, it's not what I think.
Oh, it's just that's how life is.
Yeah, it's
So-
you're either trying to convince me that you're good or trying to convince yourself that you're good.
Neither is true.
Okay.
I was thinking first on the home front and then on the work front. So I was like, good there, good there.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that's what I was thinking.
So what you're saying is you're good.
I'm double good.
You're exceptional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much like my wife, who won the award.
She won a major award.
She did. I was so proud of her.
Whenever I hear that, I think of A Christmas Story. I won a major award, and they send him that big box, and it says "fragile" on it, and he goes "fragile," and it's the leg lamp.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
You don't watch that every year for holidays.
No.
You don't watch it at Christmas.
No.
They literally play it
I
for
know
24
they do.
hours a day.
I mean, I've seen the movie, and yeah.
So she won a major award,
Yeah.
and it has something to do with healthcare and being a really good nurse, right?
That's why she gets the leg lamp?
Yeah, she gets a leg lamp.
I did not recall that. Okay.
What did she? Well, okay, so tell me about the award.
Well, I actually got it wrong, which is just typical of a husband who doesn't listen well.
Classic.
I put that she won exceptional nurse. She came home with the certificate, and I was going to take a picture, but it said excellent.
Exceptional, excellent.
I
mean, there's it's one and the same, isn't it?
Yes, they're both great. So, no, it was really cool because she's the first part-time person to win that.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
How do you pull that off?
yeah,
You're exceptional, apparently.
Yeah, you're exceptional.
Yeah.
So yeah, the floor votes on, who they think is doing
Excellent.
a excellent job, and Joe
Or
won.
in your mind, exceptional.
Exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Joe won.
How is she about receiving awards and accolades?
Not very good.
Okay, right.
She did not even want me to put something up because she actually found out she was going to win like a month or two ago, and I was going to say something then, and she was like, "Stop." But on the day that she actually got to go to the celebration of it, when she came home, we had flowers, and I took a picture of her, and I was like, "Hey, we're doing this."
Nice.
Yeah.
And you said there's the floor that votes on it. That means like the other providers, right? The other nurses. And
yeah.
Those are the most important awards,
Right.
don't you think?
Yeah.
To be
When your
like
peers-
appreciated by your peers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder what that feels like.
You have never won Employee of the Month.
I haven't.
Unfortunately.
Do we have an employee of the month?
Brady wins it every month.
Is that because he needs that affirmation?
No, it's just because he does everything on time, well, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He does everything perfect.
Sure.
Lee,
Yes.
like uses adverbs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true.
No. Should we start handing out Employee of the Month for all four of us?
I have an idea. Let's make a big deal of it. Talk about it at staff today. That we're going to start an Employee of the Month program.
Uh-huh.
And
let's give it to you every month
No.
see what happens.
It's Aaron again.
Okay, looking at the statistics, it is
Well,
Aaron.
At this rate, it's going to be kind of few and far between as far as like, who can we select?
Yeah.
Justin, Aaron, Brady, Christine. Justin,
Yeah.
Aaron, Brady.
Yeah, we
No,
only
what I
have a
think we should
couple
do
weeks
is like
left with
just
Sarah.
announce it today and say that we're going to do this. And then every month it goes to Jesus. And he's awarded a day off and it's Sunday. Think about that. Surprise! It's Jesus again.
Sure.
He really is the employee of the month.
He is. He wins.
Take that, Brady.
Yeah.
And your perfection. And your timeliness.
Would it hurt your feelings if we've been handing out employee of the month for a while?
It wouldn't hurt me in the least. In fact, I would dare say hand out the award for the worst employee of the month and give that to me too. Don't care.
Oh, stop. We've been doing it for like 2 years.
Ever since I came on board, Aaron. Yeah. Ever since you came on board, we've been doing this employee of the month. We just do it in secret. You know what we need is a volunteer of the month coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, we can't talk about it on here.
Why
it has
not?
to be a surprise.
Well, yeah, but don't you think maybe we can open it up to the listening audience?
Oh, have them start suggesting?
Sure.
Okay.
Because like sometimes we sit around and our volunteers are so good that we have a tough time determining who should get it.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Okay, listening audience, but you can't vote for yourself. I know there are a couple of you out there that would.
We should, have like a suggestion box, like a volunteer
Yes.
of the month
Yes.
suggestion box.
But it can't be anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can't be.
So.
Ryan Hahn. Mm-hmm. Now, Ryan Hahn could vote for Ryan Hahn, but it has to be the different Ryan Hahn.
Yeah, we have 2 Ryan Hahns.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be interesting. Which
Yeah.
one would they vote for?
I don't know.
Both do a great job.
They do.
How are you doing?
I am. Well, somebody declined. See, now I'm not doing very well. Tyler declined.
Wow, you're just going to call him out right on the podcast?
Remember, this is what this is about.
No.
This is real. This is true. I'm great. I am great. I have 2 of my sons are out of town today, so I'm a little on edge. Yeah, the 2 of my sons that are my sons, my 2 sons.
I was going to say.
Well, I have a son-in-law. Ooh, all 3 of my sons are out of town.
Okay.
All
I
3
was
of them.
doing the math and thinking, I'm pretty sure that's all of them.
Yeah, Cameron's in Lincoln for a field trip.
What are they doing there?
I think the museum and the house, state house, and
Okay.
that stuff. So that's pretty cool. And you know that field trip, like I think I did it when I was a kid. You probably didn't because you weren't from here, but you probably did something like this.
Beckett did a field trip yesterday to the old schoolhouse down in Papillion, like the Laura Ingalls Wilder kind of experience.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. He came back. He was like, "Dad, that's a schoolhouse like from the olden days, like you." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "The 1880s." I was like, "No, son. I was born in the 1980s." 1980s. He's like, "Oh."
Did he just look at you?
Yeah.
I bet he did.
He's like,
did he respond or did he just look at you?
He was like, "Oh." I was like, "Nope, I'm not that old."
Oh my gosh.
I was impressed he remembered I was born in the 1980s.
He's smart like his mother.
Yeah. He takes a
He'll
lot.
win awards.
He will.
He'll win awards.
Yep.
Logan's in Puerto Rico.
Yes, singing.
Yeah. I haven't checked on his location because he doesn't like when people do that. But I haven't heard from him in 24 hours. I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he is. That's one you don't have to worry about.
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about his safety.
No,
Yeah.
I feel like he could get himself out of any jam.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Gotta
taken
work on
hostage. He'd work
Krav
away
Maga
to
a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He's fierce.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, gotta make sure he can take care of himself in those situations. But he did have a dicey situation. He got stuck in Dallas on Sunday. So if you noticed, I was like hopping up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did notice actually.
Yeah, my sister-in-law was stuck in Dallas too.
Oh really?
Crystal.
Storms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, his mother was flipping out, and he's like, "I got it." So to your point, he's like, "Can everybody just leave me alone? I'll take care of it." I'm like, "Yeah, but your flight tomorrow is at like 5:00 in the morning out of Nashville. You got to get to Nashville, otherwise you won't get to Puerto Rico." You know. He's like, "I got it."
Look at him.
We had to send him to another airport to get out, but Despacito, Puerto Rico. You know that song?
No.
Despacito?
No.
All right. It's a good one. I bet your kids know it.
Okay.
Do you
I'll
listen to
ask
pop
them.
music?
Not really.
You don't allow that? Are you one of those pastors?
Yeah. 88.1 only.
Almighty. This one again, Dad?
Yeah. This is the guy who played it this week.
I know. I told Kobe. I saw Kobe. I go, hey. I was like, I got something for you today. And he goes, is it Lauren Daigle? I was like, no. But now I know, right?
A bunch of people went to that concert. I heard it was good.
Oh, was that in Lincoln?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I was like, no, I got one for you. Did a Mighty Fortress, and we made eye contact in the middle of the song. He's like, because he's traditional.
Yeah.
You know?
There's others.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did what I refer to as a medley.
Yeah. I saw. Yeah. You just
The blending of songs,
crank it right through.
which is fine. I mean, like the issue is that Mighty Fortress is in 4/4. One.
Oh, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Yes, as a
the count.
percussionist, you would understand. But
Sure.
then Firm Foundation is in
3/4.
no close
6/4.
Oh,
6/6. 7/4. 1/2.
what I jump in high school
3/9.
6/8.
Okay.
6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3.
How is that 6/8?
I just counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That doesn't make any sense. You're just counting to 6.
So anyway, 6/8. And
How does
then-
that work?
How does what work?
What's the difference between those two that you just said?
1. Okay, ready? You do this. You go tap on your leg. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Do this. 1, 2,
2,
3, 4.
4.
Keep going.
1, 2, 3,
Keep going.
4. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, now watch me. Keep going. Don't stop.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
You
You're messing
just
me
have to
up.
count to 4. You don't have to
messing
do
me up.
anything else. Just
I
count
didn't
to
know
4.
you were going to start doing different numbers.
You wanted to know how it's different.
So the difference is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4.
5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
5, 6. You're not gonna win. You're never gonna win.
This is
Employee
why
of
I told you I couldn't do
the,
percussion.
You're never gonna win Employee of the Month. That's right.
Why can't all songs just be done the same?
How can it be so boring?
Why?
6/8 is a little more ballady, which I love. You know, like Reckless Love. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like you're on a boat on the waves. You know. Are you getting sleepy?
What
Looks
are
like
all
you're-
of them?
What are all of what?
How many different ones are there?
Oh, there's so many.
You can just make them up?
How about this one? You ready for this one?
I don't know. Am I?
5/4. 5/4.
That's 1
1,
and
2,
1
3,
fourth.
4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. That's jazz. Some jazz. 3, 4, 5, 4. You can have as many as you want. 5, 6. 5, 6. Another one.
So what's
6,
the top
8,
number mean?
4, 4. What's that?
What's the top number mean and the bottom number mean?
I don't know. You know that I, much like William Hung on American Idol, I have no professional training. I just know they exist and I know what they are. I don't know what it means. You know? I don't know what any of it means.
Like,
Why is that important? I'm not like, I'm not writing it. The point of the matter is that it does exist, okay? It's different. It's great. What are you doing? Why are you just
It doesn't make sense to me. Just put it all on 4/4, and then you can do half beats and,
See, okay, now you're
quarter beats
see what you're
and-
saying though. But that's the point. Okay, so yes, then it can all be different. It can have variations, but they're just putting a qualification. They're putting the numbers to what you're saying. They're doing all that. That's all it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever take dancing lessons?
No.
Like waltz or ballroom dancing?
Oh
anything like
yeah, I did cotillion.
that? Oh,
What? They had cotillion in high school. You got invited.
okay. So you wore a suit. You got dressed up.
I don't think we had to dress up. No. But we did learn ballroom, or I don't know, one of those type of dances.
Yeah, like waltz, like 3/4.
Something like that. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. There you go.
I can two-step.
Okay. Well,
That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Yes, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it well. But when I was in Austin, that was fun. We'd go to the little
Mm-hmm.
honky tonks, like go outside of Austin about 30 minutes to like Greene or Copeland or something like that, little towns.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool because like the whole town would be there, be like all 100 people,
That's
like
pretty cool.
all ages, and
Yeah.
it like you felt like you were walking into a movie scene, like
Yeah,
it just
like
didn't feel real.
Roadhouse?
Oh yeah, because like Copeland we would go to, you would pull up and there, like it literally was a dance hall, and train tracks right next to it, bunch of pickup trucks outside, and you'd walk in. And, yeah, like they had a mechanical bull and a bar
Whoa.
and a little dance floor and a live band, always a live
Really?
band up
Always
there.
a live band.
Oh, yeah.
Did you wear cowboy boots? Did you have cowboy boots?
I didn't have cowboy boots, no. But I had a hat and I had my pearl snaps on and my jeans and my buckle. I had a belt buckle.
Right.
I had a
Yes.
couple cool. I still have my belt buckles.
Yeah.
You just can't wear them outside of Texas. It looks
Yeah, you
weird.
can.
Well, I can't.
I went to the state track meet, middle school state track meet this past weekend, and there was it was hot.
It was. Yeah.
And there was a boy, like a high school age boy, wearing jeans and boots and a belt buckle, and then a cut off, like a t-shirt with the sleeves
He was
cut off.
participating?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
No. He wasn't participating. He's just
Well,
owning
that's
it.
your regular wear when you're a farmer.
But that's what I'm saying. You can wear it outside of Texas.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not a. Yeah.
Most of Nebraska is like that.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I have
you
a
should wear it.
sweet bull bell buckle.
I'll tell you what. You would win Employee of the Month if you wore that to preach.
I think it'd be a distraction. People would see it and be like, "Man, that is a sweet."
Well, that's why I
belt
said
buckle."
you'd win, because it would distract people from your sermon. They
There
wouldn't
you-
qualify you on that. Like,
There you go. Yeah.
you know what? I can say that to you because you don't need my affirmation, nor do you need my vote for Employee of the Month to say
No, because
that
I'm
you
the lone
delivered.
voter.
Pardon me?
I'm the only voter.
You're the only vote. Oh, just you. Oh, I see. No, I was going to say that you deliver a fantastic message, and including but not limited to this past Sunday.
Oh, you're getting us back into the topic here.
Right onto the topic. Right on.
There we go.
Sowing the seeds
Yes.
of love.
There you go.
You should have broken out in that.
I don't know that song.
Sowing the seeds of love from the 80s? You don't know that song.
I was born in '84.
So you don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. So you only know music prior to 84 or after 84?
Yeah.
You don't know Sowing the Seeds of Love?
No. Who sings it?
Well, see, again, I don't know.
Well, so it's
Why does
not
that matter?
big.
Hey, Siri. Play
Don't talk to that
Sowing
robot.
the Seeds of Love.
Don't answer him, Siri. Stop listening.
Tears for Fears. Never heard of Tears for Fears?
No?
Oh, this is good stuff.
I've never heard this.
Hang on. It's going to sound really familiar in a second. You know, if I keep playing that, you know what's going to happen? We're going to get
Yeah, I
knocked
know.
off.
You're going to get bumped off for
You're going to get
copyright.
bumped off. Wait. Here comes the hook. This is the part that's important.
No, I've never heard that.
You don't know Sowing the Seeds of Love.
I've said that 5 times. I don't know it. It's a
Yes, you
terrible
do.
song.
It's
I
not a
wouldn't
terrible
listen
song.
to
It's a
that.
really good song and a really good message. Sowing the seeds. The sower, the parable of the sower.
Yeah.
The seed sower, as it were.
Matthew 13. Mm-hmm. So yeah, crank it through. We're a whole chapter 13 in to Matthew now. And Mother's Day as well. What did you guys do for Mother's Day?
We had our mothers over.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you do for Sarah?
Kayla crocheted her a bunny.
Nice.
Kayla, like,
What's she gonna do with it?
well, she has it at her desk.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Okay.
It's like this little bunny.
Very
I'm
good.
gonna have her crochet all kinds of stuff now. I'm like, you can do this? Like I couldn't believe it. To get like, it's crazy.
What are you gonna have her crochet for you?
I'm gonna have her make you.
I look forward to seeing that.
Never make one of you. And then we took her out to dinner.
Where'd you go?
We went to Sullivan's.
Is that her favorite place, or is that just where you? Could
It was
get
a
in?
place we could get in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hard to get in on that day.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it was great having Mom over. Bob and Mary back in town, so they came over. Beautiful day. Just sat out on the
Oh,
patio. Yeah. How about you?
We were so busy on Saturday that we just did nothing, and that was nice.
Did nothing. Nothing is nice, especially for a busy.
I mean, at this
Family,
point, Joe and I have said like we like our steaks better than anywhere else
True.
because she does them the way like it's
She
so
makes
good.
the steaks.
Well, yeah, we do them inside. They're so much
I'm
better.
sorry. Excuse me. So just because you cook them inside, she has to cook them?
No,
Like she has to be in the kitchen? What do you do?
no, I'm moral support.
No wonder she's winning awards, and you're not.
I do the grilling. She does the inside.
Okay.
That's just our team.
So she what's she do? She sears them in the pan
Sears them in the pan, then puts it in the oven.
and in the oven. Yeah.
And like puts all the thyme and other and butter and
Butter,
all that.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's just pure, just butter coming out. Just you eat it and it just melts in your mouth.
Wait, hold on. So you had steaks on Sunday,
Yeah,
and she was required to be in the kitchen making the steaks on Mother's Day.
that was what she wanted to do.
Oh,
Because I said I will make them, and she said I'm good.
maybe she thinks you're a bad cook.
But she probably does. She's like I want them done.
We don't
the
want to
way.
have food poisoning on Mother's Day.
She was like, hey, this is what I want, and twice baked potatoes.
Oh,
So
yes.
She-
Big twice baked potato.
Yep.
You bake it once, and then you bake it again.
yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Potato. And so yeah, we did that, and then we watched a movie with
watch?
the kids. The Greatest Showman.
Oh, yes.
The kids had never seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we sat around and cuddled, and
Yeah.
she had the kids, with her, and just watched a movie.
Nice.
Just relaxed.
That's a good
It was
day.
nice. It was
That's
a good day. Yeah. So
Sowing the seeds.
sowing seeds on Mother's Day.
That's right.
One of Jesus' most famous parables, the first one that's listed in the book of Matthew, where Jesus, lays out four different types of soil, and the penetration of the gospel in each one. And what's interesting is, we would think Jesus himself would say like, well, this is how it, everything ends up good in the end. It's a Disney story, like everybody's saved. But he lays it out in 3 of the 4 scenarios, like they're not saved. And I think that's Jesus calling out the reality that we see in our lives, that there's a lot of people that just are not going to be saved. And it's not the seed's fault. It's the same seed that goes out to all. It's the soil's fault. And it's interesting, Jesus puts the onus on, and I didn't get into this too much, because I don't know, it kind of sounds self-serving, but Jesus really puts the onus on sermon preaching on the hearers, not the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And that, especially if you read what he says in between the two, because there's like he says the parable, and then like 10 verses later he explains the parable, and what he says in between talks about why he's talking about parables and the responsibility of the hearers to hear the parable. But he really puts the onus on the hearer. Like, what type of soil are you? Are you a soil that's receptive to the seed? Are you a soil that's growing good roots? And that's an interesting challenge, because I think all of us come in on Sunday morning and maybe we're not always the most receptive soil. Like we've got 100 things on our mind. We're trying to find flights for our son. We're trying, like we just, a lot happens. Our kids are, doing this or doing that, or like what's going on in our lives. We just come in there, and Jesus's word is Jesus's word, and we have a responsibility to be ready to hear it, to be ready to respond to it, to be ready to be convicted by it, and so he lays out this parable, and he says, look, the first seed, it's the hard heart. It's the one that the seed falls on the path. In a path, you can imagine, it's trampled down, it's stepped on. I mean, it's not going to get in the soil. The seed's just not going to go anywhere. And then the bird comes and snatches it before it can do anything. And he says, that's Satan. Satan is that first seed. That he comes, he snatches it because there's a hard heart that the seed just doesn't penetrate. It just kind of bounces off. And then Satan snatches it away. And we can look in our world and we see this plenty of places that just the simplest of gospel messages just gets rejected and pushed away. I've had friends in my life that are that way in high school and college that, not that I was being the best Christian example at all, but I would invite them to come to stuff and there's just this, well, even this just kind of disdain for anything of Christianity.
Okay. Where do you think that comes from? Like when you say that, and I can relate to that example where people are like, but where do you think that disdain, what are some of the
common causes?
Yeah.
I think number one is the worst of Christianity. And I've said this plenty of times, but the problem with Christianity is we can't keep the worst of us off television and off media. And they are the loudest because the media jumps onto it because they create these firestorms or they say these things, And I always link it back to my favorite Jeff Foxworthy quote when he said, Southern people are great, but we just can't keep the worst of us off TV. Whenever there's a tornado, they don't go to the nice neighborhood and the educated person. They go to some trailer park with some lady, in a muumuu and hair curls and, and it's the same. We can't keep the wackadoodles off the television. That's who ends up on television. Because they're controversial or they say ridiculous things or they are prosperity gospel or they, all these type of things. But I think people also individually grow up with like grandparents or parents that were not great examples, that were not focused on the right things, that they just have this disdain or they grow up in a house that, and unfortunately this is the way it is. The Republican Party is more closely linked to the Christian right. And so they grow up in a house that, is Democrat or left leaning. And so they just grow up with this bent towards, Republicans are the enemy. And, oh, hey, a lot of Christians are Republicans. So they're the enemy,
Sure.
And so for whatever reason, I think there's this disdain or, people that grow up in a very scientific minded worldview, have a disdain for Christianity as childish and simple minded. So they just reject it. So whether it's someone has hurt them or they feel like they're smarter than, this or whatever it is. And I said, you can be in that camp as a Christian or a non-Christian. If you're, I know Christians that are in that camp that, man, they believe God is real, but like their faith is just dead. And usually it is hurtful Christians. There's people at church that have talked about, I was away for a long time and it was because my pastor did this or my mom did this and she was my example. And the biggest thing is this. You got to get your eyes off other Christians. They are not your example. Jesus is. And other Christians are fellow sinners trying to follow Jesus' example and failing at it.
Yeah.
Myself, you, all of us.
And acknowledging that failure.
Right. And true, some Christians do not acknowledge their failure. Some Christians deny. But your faith is not based on their faith.
Yeah.
Your faith is based on Jesus. And so you need to stop using everybody as an excuse. Stop looking at everybody else and look at Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to follow him very flawed too.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to hold that against you. He's going to forgive you and give you grace, and you need to give other people grace. And that's not to say, I mean, horrific things have happened by Christians. And I'm not excusing that.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to show grace and mercy the way that Jesus shows you grace and mercy. You need to get your eyes off other people. Because, the seed gets robbed from the first scenario, the hard heart. And then he goes into the second scenario. And I think we find a lot of people in the second and third scenario. The second one is that it falls on rocky soil. So there's rocks. There's a little bit of soil for it to take root and grow with great joy originally, but then there's not enough space for it to really grow deep or strong. And so, eventually it dries out. It can't get the water, the nutrients it needs. And he talks about being scorched by the sun. And Jesus explains this is the one that the trials wipe it out. What I talked about is when we focus on the wrong things of Christianity, what we connect them with is what we connect them to. That, like the kid that grows up going to youth group, and youth group is, rock climbing walls and concerts and, and at no point do they ever sit down and talk about the hard things of Christianity. That's my problem with some of these approaches to youth ministry is, they get a big crowd and they never get into the hard stuff. They never get into the deep questions. They never get into it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's not always pleasant, And so these kids grow up and then they face trials and tribulations and tough questions and hardships. And they're like, why am I going to follow God? Clearly there's no God because bad things are happening. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, no, you read the Bible. Well, I know these 10 verses because that's all I've ever heard my whole life was these 10 very positive, all, sunshine.
I can do.
Yeah, I can do all things through Christ. I know these cookie cutter, and I love that. That's what that's the series. We just picked it. Coming out of Matthew, we're going to do a series called What's That Really Mean? And we're taking about, I think, 6 or 7 verses that people quote all the time, and that's not what they mean. And one of them is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Like, that's 90% of people do not understand what that verse is actually talking about. But that's what happens is they don't grow very deep roots. They grow very shallow roots. Mm-hmm. And there are these churches and mindsets of, they're a mile wide, but they're an inch deep. Mm-hmm. And the people fall away because when hardship comes, they're like, what is this? Yeah. Because all I've ever heard is have faith and great things will happen for you and prosperity and, blessing. And this isn't what I signed up for. Mm-hmm. And in that instance, what we encourage is like, you need to read your Bible for yourself. You need to know what it says. And throughout Christianity, this is nothing new. You look at the Reformation. You look at, Catholicism has had this in multiple waves of people just sitting there, not actually reading the Bible for themselves, and then they do and go, wait a minute, where does the Pope come from? Where does purgatory come from? Where I'm just getting spoon-fed all this stuff, and where does worship of the saints come from? And Catholics have this huge struggle when they actually read the Bible for themselves, going, none of this is in here. Mm-hmm. Mormons face the same thing, where they get spoon-fed all this, but once they start reading it for themselves, going, wait a minute, JWs, have the same battle. When they talk about Christ is the firstborn of all creation, that's their big thing, that Christ was an angel. It was Saint Michael that came down and then went back to be Saint Michael, and that's who Jesus was, and then they read the Bible for themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge step, and it's a huge step in Christianity itself. Read the Bible for yourself. Mm-hmm. Stop having people tell you what it says, because people have agendas. And I'm including myself. You should always read the Bible for yourself. And if I'm ever saying something that's not in there, You should call me out on it.
Yeah, and not to mention, you know, there are enough examples in the Bible where you're like, okay, I'm reading that, I've read it, I've reread it and reread it, and I'm still not exactly. I don't understand completely what's going on here. There are resources to help that, but that happened with the disciples.
Yes.
Jesus was the Word of God in the living flesh was spoken through Jesus. Jesus says, "Hey, this," and they're like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know? Or they'd say, "Oh, we get it," but they didn't really.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with not understanding. The problem is being too lazy to even look. Being too lazy to even look and seek out that answer. Mm-hmm. You need to grow deeper roots, and you need to surround yourself with people that are mature in the faith. Mm-hmm. You need to be in a small group. You need to be in a Bible study where you have other people that can walk alongside you and say, "Oh, I've been through that trial. I know what that's like. I can help you with that. I can be there for you," because we need that. And the problem is we know too many people that have walked away because of trials. And then the third seed comes along, and the third seed is the one that grows. It's thrown among the thorns, and it grows up, but then the thorns choke it out. And Jesus says that the thorns are the cares of this world, the love of money, the love of riches, the love of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's not that there's not genuine faith. It's that genuine faith is growing alongside a bunch of rival loves, and those rival loves end up taking over. Mm. And we see this all the time. We see this all the time at church, where we have somebody that's coming, and we see them a little less, then we see them a little less, then we see them a little less, or there's entire seasons of the year that they're gone. Mm-hmm. You know, their kid goes and does, show choir and sports and this, or they just get into hunting season or fishing season or football season, and that we have all these other loves, and it's okay to have other loves, but they can't choke out your faith. And too often that's what happens is we let these other things choke out our faith. And it's not that we do it. I think a lot of people get there on accident, truthfully.
Sure.
I think they say, okay, I have all these other things in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I think they have these moments of clarity where they go, man, like I need to make church a bigger priority. I need to make Jesus a bigger priority.
Yeah, a lot of things, but then all of a sudden event that comes in, and
but then all of a sudden Satan closes and squeezes with those thorns. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, but if I don't take my son to 7 things this week, then he's not going to be on the team, he won't get that, and it chokes you in. If I don't go and do that, or if I don't go see that, then it's going to cost me that love. And so we have this warring loves in our heart. Mm-hmm. And too often, the rival loves win out. And Jesus talks about money is one of those, job status, relationships, all these things happen where we say, I desperately want to be in a relationship. Well, then I got to go and date, and I got to go, and this person's pulling me away, but I want that relationship more than I want church. I want that, and Jesus said, you've got to guard your heart against these things. You've got to control and cut back and put Jesus first.
Yeah, prioritize, make worldly sacrifices. And we get it.
Sure.
I mean, we struggle with it too. Just because we work for a church. Invincible. I mean, there are definitely seasons of life, let alone seasons of just the year where other activities and things can certainly take our time and attention and focus. And it's we're not coming at this from a it's you. It's like we get it, which is why you can preach on this stuff, because you live it. You have a busy family.
I have other loves.
Yeah.
And there are times I have to check myself and going, I am making that most important in my life right now, and that is not most important. There are times we have to fight back against the thorns, because that's the thing. They will prick you eventually. Mm-hmm. They will hurt you and cut you eventually. The tighter you let them squeeze.
Yeah.
They never bring more joy to your life they always eventually, the more you let them control your life, cut you. That's why they're thorns.
Right.
And then the last one is the good seed, that it's thrown on good soil, it produces crop 160, 30 fold. And what we talked about is, well, how do you be that third soil? I said, I think the way you get there, because Jesus doesn't say this is how you be the third soil. But I think the way you get there is love. Loving God. Because I think that's the challenge, is there's a lot of people that obey God. There's a lot of people that trust God. There's a lot of people that honor God. And all those things are important. But if you don't love him, and I mean, like, truly, like, love him.
Yeah.
Like, in your heart, just have joy for him. In your heart, have happiness in him. Because you will... I remember there was a guy, I won't give too many details. There was a guy who was a terrible stutterer, and he was at seminary. And his sermons were rough. And when you're in seminary, they assign you to local churches to help out. And all of us were shocked because his field work came back and he got an A, in field work. And when you're in seminary, you do you help with liturgy, or you do the children's message. You're not doing it. You're not preaching or anything. And he got an A, and we were all like, man, how did that happen? And what it turns out was they loved him. They loved his personality. They knew he loved them, all these things. And I remember our teacher saying, love covers, because the famous verse is love covers a multitude of sins. And he said, love covers a multitude of flaws. That when you love somebody, you look past their flaws because you love them. And in the same way, I think, the one thing that the second and the third seed don't have is just genuine love for God. Because if they did, they wouldn't chase after other things, and they wouldn't get mad when something bad happens. Just like in our own lives, with our own relationships and our own friendships, when you love somebody, you forgive offenses. When you love somebody, you work through the hard times. When you love somebody, you are patient when you don't feel like you're getting what you deserve. When you love, the fertile soil is loving God, truly loving God. And I think it's a challenge for us to say, how much do I just love God?
Well, I think it also goes hand in hand with, you can't love someone if you don't know them.
True.
And I think that people struggle with knowing God if they're not in his word regularly and if they're not in prayer regularly, because how can you know him if you're not taking in his word? How can you know him if you're not in a relationship with him? And the best ways to be in a relationship with God, to read his word and to talk to him daily, and not just occasionally, but got to get to know him. Yeah. He knows you and he loves you despite the fact that he knows you, knows all your flaws. But I think that's such a powerful point you made. You have to love God. How do you love God? How do you come to know him to a point where you can say, oh yeah, I get this. This is true love, real love. It's hard for people. I think people struggle with going, maybe it's more certain type of person.
But I think we see the evidence of this in real life. I think we can point to certain people that we know love God, and we see the fruit that they bear. Because that's what God says, is you're going to bear fruit. And the fruit that God always talks about is the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, self-control, all those.
Say those again.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. I think that's all of them. But anyways, we can see we can see the people we know. Like I could name a couple people at GraceHill that like I just think are the embodiment of the fourth seed. I think there are a lot of people that love God, but I mean, like when you truly say like this person loves God, like you see that fruit in their life.
Yeah.
And I think it's just cool when the Bible is verified in front of our eyes, and God says, "Look, there are going to be people that reject it. I see that. There are going to be people that fall away because of the trials. I see that. There are going to be people that get choked out. I see that.
Yeah.
And then there are people that that have fertile soil, that love God, that put Him first, that are, riding through and enduring even when things aren't going their way, that are getting their tough questions answered, that are seeking after Him. And I'm seeing fruit bear in their life. And I go, okay.
And isn't it something to read these passages and say, wow, like it's so true today.
Still true today.
Still true.
2,000 years later.
So many examples. And I'm right there with you of all those categories, of all those different types of soil. I can see that in my family. I can see that in our church. I can see that in our friends as well.
And that's the thing. At GraceHill, on a Sunday, I see all four seeds.
Sure.
And so we're not immune to this. There are going to be people who, even though they show up, are in those categories.
Yeah. And
we need to challenge each other and invite one another and, compel one another to grow and to I think the big three, I think you're the first seed because you're not seeking after Him. You've got something that you're wrestling with, whether it's anger or questions or doubts. And the first step is start tackling those. Like, stop being a coward. Actually come forward and say, here's my beef with God. And it'll be like, great.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's talk about it. Like, it's not okay to just walk around and having beef with people.
Yeah.
Or God.
Right.
Like, that's not healthy for you. That's not healthy for them. That's not what we're called to do ever.
Yeah.
Like, we don't just walk around having grudges and vengeance against people. We need to deal with that.
Yeah, just like it's true with human interactions.
Right.
Holding a grudge against somebody forever is not doing you any good.
No.
So
deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah, take it to them.
Confront it.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
Second step, like you got to grow in your depth. If you're that second seed, you've got to grow deeper. You've got to know God more. You're not gonna, as soon as you know God. And look, I say this as someone who reads the Bible through, who follows God, who is a pastor for God.
Yeah.
There are parts of the Bible that I read and I don't like.
Sure.
That I read and go, man, God, I don't like that you do that. Like I don't understand why you do that.
Yeah. That's a greater point, not understanding. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And yet I can say I know Him though. Because, when someone's like, can you believe God didn't answer this? I'm like, yeah. Like, look at this story. Look at this story. Look at this story. Like,
enough examples.
Like I do understand enough of His character that I get it, and you need to grow deeper. And then, the third one, like you need to, God talks about the temporary things of this world are going to fail you. And I've seen that happen enough to know it's going to happen for you too. You're putting these other things first and they will fail you. And so find the thing that matters most. Put effort in things that are eternal.
Yeah.
Care about the people, not yourself. And you see the joy of it. So, yeah. And moms, I think the hardest thing, and this is what I talked about, is moms put the weight of the world on their own shoulders to try and control the outcome of their kids. They try and say, I'm going to make all my kids be fourth seed kids. And the hard part of that is you can't.
Right.
That is not in your control. And if you are going to act like that is your burden to carry, you are going to crush yourself. Because even if your kids get to the fourth seed, you didn't do it. It's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's them. They have at some point control over their own faith. And you can only do so much.
Yeah.
and you have a big part to play.
Sure.
But to think it's all up to you is setting yourself up for failure and heartache and pain and struggle.
Yeah.
Because it's not all up to you.
Oh yeah.
We are not the sole responsibility for how other people turn out.
Yeah. And thank God for that.
Correct.
Because
as
it would be a
uncomfortable as that
crashing
is,
failure.
right? As uncomfortable as that is, because you want to control it. Also, you're going to fail at it, and that's you put that pressure on yourself. Well, they didn't turn out because I didn't do this,
Sure.
and I did that wrong, and it's not all on you.
Yeah.
So, pray that the Holy Spirit does its work on those that you love.
Indeed. And trust. And on to more parables,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
No shortage of parables.
Yeah. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them that come up in 13 and 14. And so Brady's just kind of taking a big picture look at them. Like, why does Jesus talk into parables?
Yes.
And like, what are these parables? Like, what's the big overarching theme of them? So, yeah.
PB. He'll be here next week then, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then in June, he'll be here a couple times because I'll be Notre Dame football camp and vacation. So, yeah.
Let's go. Awesome. Well,
God bless you, Buzzies.
God bless all.